to God. This is Anne Marie, host of About This Life. This summer, I've been hard at work putting together when asked the question, how do I want to serve? How do I want to make an impact? Oh, I had it all up here in the brain. I finally this summer put it down step by step. And I would love for you to go on this journey with me, as I just share with you this idea behind my group, Becoming Enough, Becoming You. What it is, I'm giving you a trailer. I'm giving you some clips of the next three guests that you have an opportunity to hear from. They are therapists, they are doctors. They're talking about trauma and wounds. We're doing some shadow work on this podcast. I would like you to take this journey with me, because if you're doing some shadow work, you need to have some healing. Listen, stay to the end of the trailer, because I'm sharing my story, my life with you at the end of the trailer. And then you get to meet all of these magnificent women who are doing God's work, who are bringing you beauty for ashes and becoming enough and becoming you. And each week in the next 3 weeks, you will hear more in-depth interviews with them. So stay tuned. Let's listen. And I hope you stay with me. Take care, everybody. As an educator, you are a writer, laughter yoga leader. My, that you and I we will do well. Conflict mediator, and you do something called internal family systems practitioner. Woo, that is a lot. Okay. But first, I'm going to start with the laughter yoga part, because we all know what yoga is. Why are we laughing in yoga? And as you can see, I'm an easy pick. I laugh. What's the better
example? We might like take a big inhalation and do a stretch with it like that. And then as we breathe out, lower your arms, get all of that air out of your lungs. And then on the next breath, do the same thing with the inhalation. And then as you exhale, we're just going to turn that into a laugh. We're just going to go, ah.
I get it. We have buried in our subconscious minds.
Unfortunately, most of it is childhood trauma. And it's absolutely heartbreaking how common stories are of physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional neglect, so much. And I really wish that, we could just learn from that as a society, because this is what adults are struggling with, and turn that back and give it back to parents and say, we need to do better. We need to do better for our children, so that they're not going to experience this as adults, because it causes so much pain.
It does. I've had like several people on the show on About This Life, and we've talked about trauma. And I don't know if I'm living in a bubble. I may be, but it seems like so many people are living in a trauma or living in trauma. And it all stems back to, as you say, to childhood. So
Right.
what is it as a society, as a world, are we doing? What in the world are we doing with our children? I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
what are some of the causes of trauma? What are some examples of a trauma-related experience?
Well, I
You
think
mentioned some
unfortunately, there's a lot
in terms of identity, who we are, where we're going, especially in the climate that we're in. And something that comes up with you is this whole idea of complex shame. Now, I think I understand shame, but you added a word there, Dr. Zoe. You said complex shame. So help me, please. Define that for us.
Yeah, absolutely. The reason why I added that word is because I thought I understood shame too. And I quickly realized that what was happening with me and what was happening with a number of people that I was working with was something a little different. So let's just start at the very beginning to understand the difference first between guilt and shame, right? So a lot of people understand this, but just in case you don't, guilt is an emotion. I feel it's mostly a healthy emotion when it's telling the truth. And guilt is an emotion that just tells us I've broken my moral code. I've done something that goes
Hmm.
against my own moral code. And when we feel that, we have a couple of options. We can decide to change, I'm not going to do that again. Or we can
Right.
decide to make reparations, right? We have choices to do something about it because it's outside of ourself, meaning in the way that we identify ourselves. Shame is a whole different thing. Shame is a message also attached to emotion for sure that says
Hmm.
I am is a social construct. It does not exist outside of a social interaction. And what I
Mm.
mean by that is that if you are sitting in your bedroom, if you are stark naked, you feel fine, right? You can lay and
Right.
read and do whatever, but someone walks in the room and all of a sudden you cover up. That's shame, right?
Hmm.
And so now, though, because of the way that our world works, we can have shame imparted on us when no one is actually there, but it's still a social construct because it's based on us comparing ourselves to someone else.
Okay.
Um, so we have to understand the difference because a lot of people, especially churches,
Yeah.
families, societies, we feel that shame is healthy if it's done in the right way. My answer is that there is no healthy shame. Second
Mm.
way, and this happens mostly with underrepresented people in our community, is that they express this shame in some way, shape, or form, whether it's on the job site or whether to,
Right.
someone in authority or even to a friend. And what happens is they're gaslit and they're told, oh,
Yes. So I'm changing the subject a little bit with this one because you mentioned in terms of the differences between real love and codependency.
mm,
Okay. You have said real love is freedom and individuality, but codependency is self-abandonment. So we've got shame covered. Talk a little bit about codependency.
well, shame and codependency go hand in hand. People who have complex shame tend to also experience codependent relationships. And the reason why is because shame makes us hide, right? Shame doesn't just make us hide generally, it makes us hide in relationships, it makes us hide at work. We can talk about that as well. Um, So what happens? There's a couple of things that happen with codependency. Well, the first thing you asked was signs. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't understand is people tend to think that people who are codependent are weak. And actually what I found is the opposite. People who are codependent tend to be very controlling. Their drive is to control the emotion of the other.
Coach. Peace, purpose, and power are three of your pillars that you help people through in order to get to the best part of their life. Coaching, retreats, and you do energy work. All of the things, okay? All of the things that we need healing on this journey. So I introduced that.
A couple movies that actually come to mind where the moms are very much on their daughters about how they should look, how their hair should be, how they should
Yes.
be in a relationship with a man, how to attract a man, like all of these things. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
and that's because that's how they were raised. So, it's kind of passed on. It's passed on
Generation to generation.
generation to generation. So when people come to me, they are trying to live up to this expectation that maybe their mother created, covering all of the things that are causing the stuff,
Mm-hmm.
which for me was, oh, my back pain is caused by my heart chakra being off, and that's because my job sucks, my marriage sucks, and I'm just not happy.
Yeah.
And then the next part of that is clearing the negative energy. And so that's where the just kind of the energy work comes in, where you're moving things around and then also like going outside and being with nature, really connecting with yourself,
Mm-hmm.
meditating, grounding, centering is the next.
Coach has done in this country
Mhm.
for the last several months. A lot of people are finding themselves suddenly without employment and suddenly trying to figure out life. And okay, what's my purpose? How am I going to pay my mortgage? How am I going to land there? And it takes, I want to say faith, because I'm hearing you speak about God and having a relationship that what you're hearing, what you're feeling, what you're picking up is okay. Well, God will take care of you.
Yeah,
And you just have
absolutely.
to trust the process. You have to trust that there's a place that's still there for you.
Yeah,
Okay.